I remember that I lived in the time of World War II and ended my life as a Jewish young woman in Auschwitz. That was the first past life I remembered. And when I remembered that life and relived through all the emotions, that opened up a lot in myself, a lot of fears and so it was a very good opening for my development.
But Auschwitz, I think people probably know what Auschwitz was, but there are some younger people that don't. It was one of the death camps during World War II.
Yes.
Wasn't it in Poland? Or
Poland,
in
Poland. Of Poland, yes.
It was located in Poland in World War II, and the Germans took many of the Jewish people to these death camps.
6 million.
6 million. Mm-hmm. And they never came out. You know, a lot of them didn't. They died there.
Yeah.
Some of them from starvation, and some of them were gassed in the gas chambers. There was many horrible things that happened during those times with the death camps. And Auschwitz was one of these. And, you know, I've also done sessions where people remembered lives that when they were in World War II in these places. And they come back very quickly. It does have an effect on your life now. The fears, and you don't know where they came from.
No.
But in that life, you did die there in Auschwitz,
didn't
you?
I did die in Auschwitz. Not in a gas chamber, but I was shot.
You were shot in that lifetime.
Yeah.
And you came back then very quickly.
In 48. I died in 43, and I came back in 48.
Mm-hmm. When you do that, sometimes it's all very fresh. And it can affect this life when you come back so quickly.
Yes, yes. I don't remember that I had special fears. I mean, as a child, I was very fearful. I don't know if it is connected with that life, maybe. But for me, it was most important of remembering that life that I wanted in that life. I wanted to become a writer.
Oh, in that Jewish life?
Yeah, that Jewish life. And I wrote my diaries, and they got published later on, and it used 80 here. They were found in 1980.
This is similar to the Diary of Anne Frank, then,
yes,
that famous book.
Yes, but she was older. I was older.
But they did find the diaries that you wrote in the 1940s then.
Yes. And they were found in 1980s. And but after I remembered that life, then I started to longing also to become a writer. And before I was 38 when I remembered that life.
You were already a therapist.
Yes, and I never wrote a book or never wrote anything. I mean, not special. And then I got the longing of I'm a writer. I'll become a writer. I go to write. Then I started my first book, writing these memories, and afterwards I wrote some 5 other books. So that's all started. So that when you relive another life, it's not always to cure old trauma. It's also to get back some talents you forgot or you were not in contact with.
But it came forth for a reason.
Yes.
There was some reason that it had to come forth in your life at that time.
Yes, it started with a dream. I had a dream that I saw trains and went to Auschwitz. That was in the dream. So it was a dream that came from nowhere. I mean, I never occupied myself with that. And then I did the hypnosis sessions to get to know what the dream was mean. And then I saw all the pictures.
And you began to get the information.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting that they did find the diaries.
Yes.
So they proved then that you did live at that time, and the diaries are real.
Yeah. But many people say, you read the diaries. It's the name I had, and that I was Etty Hillison. And they say, you read the books, and therefore you think you were her. But I read her books before, in a few years before, but I found them good, but I was not very
You mean they think you were copying the diary of Anne Frank?
No, not Anne Frank.
That you were.
No, not Anne Frank. The diaries of Etty Hillesum, they were found in the 1980s, and I read them. And afterwards, I remembered being her.
I see.
And people said, "Are you?" Many people, a woman wanted to be Etty Hillesum, and I said, "Yeah." I was not very. How do you say that? I didn't very adore her. So many people adored her because of the diaries. I wrote them. I read them, and I find them good, but I was not special. So
but
for
you
me
have
it was
much
a surprise.
More. You have much more memories, though, than what were in those. Okay.
Yeah, and therefore they in Holland in the 1980s they admired her like a saint a bit because she was a very metaphysical diary also, and
but she was just an ordinary woman.
Yeah, and I showed in my book she was an ordinary person. I showed all the neuroses that were also involved, especially she could have hid herself and not going to the camps, but she went voluntary, and there people admire her for. And I say
that's where they mean.
And I say it were all the guilt feelings she went. So it was in my memory.
Oh, okay.
So okay, but this was my first book. So primarily, I wrote it to overcome my fear, to show my experience.
Mm. But you said this book is no longer in print in Holland.
No, you can download it from my website.
From your website, it can be downloaded in English too.
They have to write me an email, and then I will send it.
You do have it in English.
Yeah,
but it's not in a book form anymore.
No,
but it is can be downloaded on your website. Do you want to give your website?
Yeah, it's in Dutch, so I have to speak Dutch.
You may have to spell it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The website is licht.werk.com.
What does that mean?
Sparkle of light.
Oh, okay.
So we call our work spark of light work. Sparkle or spark? Sparkle of light work.
Okay. Spell it so that
in Dutch?
Yeah, well, spell it in English so they can write it.
Licht, CH, licht in een T, P. I cannot spell it.
You have a different pronunciation for the letters. Oh, okay.
Licht.werk. When you put on my name, Riet Okken, then
that's
then
the way to do it. That would be much easier. Yes, because when I've traveled in Europe, they have different pronunciations of the letters. And it gets a little confusing. All right, so if they go on the internet, usually Google is one that
Google,
on Google,
they find me directly.
You type in Riet Okken, and it will bring up everything about you and the website.
Yeah.
And to spell her name, it's R-I-E-T, Riet. And the last name is O-K-K-E-N. Riet Okken, and you'll be able to download a lot of information about her and hook onto her website and find out about these books she has written. Because some of them are out of print, and then other ones are still in print now, aren't they? All right. But then, let's see, we have so much you want to talk about. I want to get into your therapy also.
Yes.
But you decided to form your own publishing company, too.
Yes, I didn't like to beg by the publishers to ask, do you want to publish my book?
We've all been there.
Yeah,
please look at my manuscript, you know.
And I wanted to earn money for the first time on my books, but I mean, normally you get 5 to 8%, and I mean...
we get more than that.
Yeah, just those times, the beginning of my book was 8%, not more. So I was thinking, I found it very dishonest that as a writer you get so less. So little.
But you know, as a publisher, we know the other side of it too.
Yeah, I know it now.
You know it now, but that's
I give my writers more than 5%.
I try to give mine a good deal also, because most writers don't understand all the different parts
Yeah,
of the
okay.
publishing.
Yeah. It's a lot of investment you have to do, yeah.
But then you started your publishing company,
Yeah.
and you have published several books.
Yeah. Yeah. The first one we published was my book, The Liberating Power of Emotion. So that's the main thing now of my work.
Okay.
So the work on emotions, because I found in my own life and with others that without the transformation of the emotions, of the traumas and the emotions involved, spirituality cannot be very sound. I mean, it becomes how do you say that? Not to other side of down, not down to earth. I like a spirituality who is on this earth, who is down to earth, with the feet on the ground.
Okay.
And the transformation of your emotions and your body gives the ground for
grounding.
For the sound spirituality.
Okay. This is part of what you do with your therapy work now.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it wasn't that kind of therapy, though, was it?
Yes, also, but I evolved into this more and more.
But when you talk about the transformation of emotions, let's see if we can make it easier for them to understand.
Yeah.
Because we all have emotions, and many people, the emotions rule them.
Yeah, that's.
And like I've just begun to read your book. She's translating it into English, and it had to do with controlling emotions. See if you can explain it better.
And most of the time, what most of the people we do in life is we control the emotions, or we venting them out.
You vent
them, acting them out in your daily life. So, and that's where all the wars and conflicts come from. And I think that there is a third way necessary, and that is that you learn to know your emotions, you learn to express them, but in such a way that you don't harm anybody, that you don't you don't vent them out. You vent them. You don't vent them subconscious. That you are aware of your emotions, and that you are aware of the direction of your emotions. Because in the emotions, it is mixed. The past and the present is mixed.
The way we're brought up and
I will give an example. For example, if you you get easily triggered by authoritarian people, or when someone approaches you, authoritarian, and you get triggered and you become angry or afraid, then most of the time it has a root in your past, because you had an authoritarian father and or a mother, and you have not worked it through, you have not digested. And so most of the time what happens is you have not digest your past, then you act it out in the here and now. So you get in conflicts with people, with a person, with your boss, or someone who is authoritarian. So what I teach people is to get aware where your emotions come from, where your overload comes from.
Most people don't know. They don't.
No.
Sometimes they don't even remember the incident in their past.
Yes, exactly. And then they act it out with your children, or with your colleagues, and there all the conflict starts from. So first of all, what I learned is that you discern between the past and the present, and that if you get triggered by your boss because he said, you have to do this and that,